Hi there, folks. Simmon here. Welcome back to the 2023 Trans-AtlanTak Tournament. This is the match between Evoshen and adelta. You've seen the other videos. You know what the Trans-AtlanTak is. It's Old World versus New World. Evoshen coming in for New World, adelta in for Old World. And this is played on a 6x6 board, played with 2 Komi, and 15 minutes on the clock, 15-second increment, meaning 15 seconds gets added to your clock after every turn. And new rule is on turn 35, you get 15 extra minutes added to your time as well. So, without any further ado whatsoever, let's jump right into Evoshen versus adelta. All right, so we see that F1 placement, getting that corner in, and then opposite corners here. Now we see straight into that Knight's opening for Evoshen. Now this is going to be a pretty solid toss-up in this match. They're both pretty evenly matched, I'd say. Evoshen has a lot more experience, been around a lot longer, but their skill levels are pretty close. We do see Evoshen continuing on with this Knight's opening, and adelta playing into that center control. I think, yep, I was about to say, I think there's going to be a capstone dropped here, and sure enough, capstone drop right there. Ready to come over and interrupt this threat. I think black can feel fine placing over on A3, A4 at this point, knowing they can bring that capstone over and get that momentum back. Yeah, A3, A4 is probably the play here, one of those. I wouldn't play off at E3 or anything yet. That takes it a little bit further away from the action. Does play down at C2, interestingly. I would have gone for the A3, A4, just because you know you're going to be bringing that capstone left. And so if you're bringing the capstone left already, you want to have an anchor point on the left-hand side of the board. And so here is where he played at C2, or she played at C2, sorry. And now you've got to play over at A3 eventually anyway, or A4, and the C2 doesn't really do anything to advance your threat that you're working for. Now white can, I was going to say white can play flats up at the top and go for a horizontal road up there, but instead dropping that capstone right at C4. Now that's an interesting position for a capstone. I would say it's a pretty fantastic play. The reason being is that you are cutting off the black capstone from the rest of their flats. You are able to get into that basically linchpin tack flat stone on C3 if you want to capture down with that capstone and just ruin a lot of what black's building. So there's a lot going on for white to crush and get rid of with that capstone. That's exactly what they're going. It's that very centrally located capstone as well. It's a good spot. And then black plays over at E3, continuing this horizontal threat, not playing an anchor point on the left-hand side of the board, which is interesting. I think maybe he is, or maybe she is setting up for maybe an A2 if the A3 goes away, be able to toss that capstone down onto B2 to make that connection. But that capstone does come down, and this is creating another opportunity for white to build that vertical road. Black should be filling in here at D4. If not with a flat, then with a wall. But instead playing below. And I guess, again, they are wanting to bring that capstone down to make that connection, make that horizontal road. But I feel like that's a bit risky. I think that it would have been a lot safer to play over there at C4, because now black's going to have to bring that capstone down in order to stop this threat from happening. because this is currently a road threat from white. We see white finally taking a little bit of time here. Both players have been playing extremely quickly these first 10 moves. You got Evoshen still above that 15-minute mark, almost at 16 minutes there. And adelta just now below 14 and a half minutes. So they've been playing fairly quickly. Again, we have a 15-second increment, meaning that they've been getting 15 seconds after every turn. Black dropping a wall at B1. Interesting. I feel like this gives up a lot of opportunity that you're going to want, again, by placing at D2 instead of C4. You kind of gave white the opportunity to start building this vertical threat. And that really, really opened up opportunities for white. And you kind of shot yourself in the foot a little bit. I'm expecting black to come up with B1 onto B2 here. And then in response to whatever white does, black can probably play at A2 to threaten the smash road threat. Yeah, so B1 does come up onto B2 here. So that wall is stopping the capture from happening and making that road. Now, white can do a number of things here. I like just switching gears, going for the horizontal, playing up at D5, for example, would be a fun play to go. D5 would go for that horizontal thread along the top of the board. I don't think dropping at A3 is going to be much help. You could decide to drop at A2, since black is probably going to want to play at A2 on this next turn and kind of mess with them on that. Also, it works towards building around that wall on the left-hand side, trying to continue that vertical road threat. Yep, and that's what he does. Plays at A2 to kind of block black from making that threat. Granted, black can make that threat still, smash, and that would be a road threat by spreading left. It would cause white to need to do something, probably like move that capstone, capture down onto C2. I don't expect we're going to see that smash right here, though, as it doesn't lead to Tinue, and you typically don't want to be making crazy moves like that unless you are positive you're going to win because of it. So instead we see black playing over, black playing at D4, but then white playing again at A3, continuing this vertical road threat. Now, black's going to want to stop this. They can stop it by capturing with that D4 left. They can stop it by placing at A1. They can stop it by bringing that capstone down. They can stop it by bringing the wall up. But again, a lot of these moves can just be refreshed immediately. Like if the wall comes up, then white just plays at B2 and has another road threat. I am not sure what black's going to do here, but again, white's still playing on average quicker than 15 seconds per turn. Very quick, but I understand that anyone who knows my gameplay knows that I play very quick. But playing quickly in the beginning, if you are confident in your opening, you can play fairly quickly to kind of give yourself a little more time later on when you know things are going to be a little bit trickier and the game is going to be more complex. This tag does get more complex over time. It is an additive game, and so it's not like removing pieces from the board and making it's simpler and less crowded. TAC is going to be adding more and more, and you're going to get these stacks that are going to complicate things. The branching factor is going to shoot through the roof, and that's when things get really wild. Black does come down with the capstone to block this, and white says, fantastic, I wanted to play up at D5, go for this horizontal threat anyway. And I think that's a great play here, switching gears. And you saw it was immediate. White knew exactly what they were going to play as soon as Black came down with that capstone. It took probably less than 15 seconds. I think exactly 15 seconds to make that move. And then Black now has to decide, okay, what am I going to do here? If I want to stop this, I need to be placing up above in that horizontal area in order to stop White from continuing this horizontal threat. And it works out for Black. Black can play up at F5 or E5, and it works out because Black has the beginning of a vertical threat over there. And so Black should have been playing on that part of the board earlier. Now this is where Black probably wants to drop at F4. You want to stop that horizontal threat. White's going to be playing at F5 after that, and you can come right with your E5 if you want to do that. You can come right with your D4. Either of those work just fine. But I think F4 is the play here. It works towards you. Oh, not playing it at all. Instead playing up at E6. Now, White can play at either F4 or F5 to make a road threat here. Plays at F4. This is where I expect a D4 right to happen. So that flat can come over onto E4, make the vertical tack threat and cut off White's threat that they're building. Trying to think if there's a better move here, but I can't see it if there is one. I think it's got to be D4 right to really push for that that vertical threat. And that vertical threat will require... Oh, nope, he's going up. A weaker move for sure, because at this point, White can place to stop this threat. If Black had gone right with D4, White would have had to capture. There would have been no placing or anything like that. So now Black definitely needs to go D4 right, capture onto that. Perfect. Now White's going to drop a wall, likely at either F4 or E3. Does the E3, and Black's got to go somewhere with that stack, or the White's wall is going to take it. But anywhere they go, really, if they take the whole stack to the right, that's safe from the wall. If they take it and spread left, then the capstone can take it. If they take part of it and move left or right, that wall's still going to come up and liberate those captives. Doesn't matter what Black does with that stack except for 4E4 right, that wall or the capstone is going to get it. And it's not ideal, I would say. White's in a pretty strong position here. Now this wall dropping next to this stack that's been formed, this is something that is really, really great for newer players to learn. It's the power of an offensive wall. We talk about this a lot in the walls video of TAC University, but making flat-on-flat captures, we know, creates liabilities, but sometimes you just have to do it. And so in this case, Black spreads slightly to the right. This allows that wall to come up. And the wall now, after E3 comes up onto E4, now it has that flat that it can liberate, and it can liberate the flat on F4 on the following turn, because it's going to be able to capture over and get on top of that other stack and liberate more flats, more captives, and get those back in the game. This is really, really strong here for White. And we see in the chat someone saying this is White's game to lose. Yeah, it really is. White is very much in a commanding lead here. This is where we're going to see 2e4 right to cut off this vertical tack threat of black. No, just drops, okay, drops a flat instead to make the tack threat. So this is a threat because white can take that wall stack and spread it upwards. I would have taken that that wall stack right. I wouldn't have gone for the placement. The placement might be the better move here, but I definitely would have just reflexively, automatically gone, I'm taking this stack. But instead, white had a little bit of patience and decided to make the placement here at f5. Now, there's the potential that black takes f4, so 2f4 plus captures up, renews the threat, and gets away from the wall, and that's exactly what they do. White can now drop at f4, just a flat to cut that off, and that's fine. They don't have anything to worry about that. So I think we're going to expect a flat here at f4. This continues, not creating a threat, but it's very, very close to one. Yep, flat gets dropped. Now from here, black needs to continue making captures if they want to continue making threats. However, I don't think that's the play here. I think the play is to drop a wall somewhere, potentially at c6 or d4. You want to cut off, probably d4. You want to cut off white's ability to make that horizontal threat on the following turn. Yeah, it does go for the wall at d4. Now, I could see something like a flat at f6 here for white. That way you can sort of make a play for that f5 stack with flats, still push forward with your flat count, get ahead that way still. I mean, it's looking really, really strong for white. White just needs to find the right places to drop these flats to continue putting pressure on black. Because ultimately, it's looking very, very strong. There's not a lot of black captives anywhere. It looks like white has made no flat on flat captures. They have a capstone on top of a black flat, and they have a wall on top of a stack. So it looks like no flat on flat captures means no liabilities for black to exploit later on down the road. If they can keep that up, it is very, very strong for white. All right, we do see that f6 placement. Now, if a capture war does break out for f5, like f6 comes down, that's a tack threat, needs to get stopped. It's going to get stopped with e5 right. And then you take f4 plus to renew the threat, and then when the wall or whatever drops at e5, then you spread down below. And if you spread down and you spread it correctly, you can get to the point where you can make a vertical tack threat by spreading left all the way to c2. Now that's, you know, thinking quite far ahead, but I think that it can work out. So here's where you'll either see, you'll probably see a wall at e5. Yeah, no, he brings that up. Okay, so this is even stronger, I'd say, for white to spread this down all the way down to f2, and you get enough flats on f2 that you can throw it all the way to c2. And that spread by itself, and he did it, he did that. And that spread by itself also is setting up for another horizontal tack threat by placing it d4. That would renew it. I was expecting a slightly different spread. I think he could have gotten away with leaving another white on f3, but maybe I'm mistaken there. So this is where now you get the flat at d4 for the road threat again for white. And placing at d4 means that black needs to defend against that horizontal road threat and can't capture onto f2 with that wall. It's looking very good for white still. Yep, makes the threat. Black's going to probably have to take that wall at d5, move it left onto c5, or maybe even throw it all the way to b5. But it's looking pretty good here for white. Yep, brings it over onto c5. White can renew by placing at b4. That would, however, give black an opportunity to bring that capstone out of its sort of imprisonment, its captivity. Does play there at b4. Now black's capstone has something to capture onto. Yep, that capstone gets back into the game. Comes up, capturing there. White can renew here by placing at b3, and they go ahead and do that. Black may decide to throw this whole thing over and smash on e4, but I don't think that's likely. Nope, they come up with their own wall, stopping that there. White cannot immediately renew this threat at this point. White can play at b2 and continue that route, but black has very little to go with at this point. White can... I'm looking at d5, b2. Either of those seem totally fine to go for. d5 and b2, yes. Those are good. What else works here? You could also take some of that white stack on f2, bring it down onto f1. Just take 2f2 minus. You can take the whole thing down if you wanted to, but I think 2f2 minus works here. But this is a tough spot to be in. I mean, white could even smash there at b3. It wouldn't be a tack threat, but it also would not be a bad move. You liberate those captives, spread to the right. You could make the threat with the following spread. Taking their time, though. Now we do see the time difference here. Evoshen still holding that time lead. 11 and a half minutes on the clock versus adelta's 8:15. So it's about 3.5 minutes separating the two of them. Trying to spot any other sneaky plays here. Evoshen's probably figuring out, okay, do I want to smash this or not? Oh, brings up the big stack all the way to the left. Not attack threat in any way. I think that was a self-capture even. Interesting play. Now I bet he's thinking if the wall comes up to stop me on E3, the capstone is within range to smash that if he wants to do that. I don't think that was a particularly strong play. I think that was a fairly weak play. Doesn't really do much to advance his position. I think dropping a flat at B2 or D5 would have done much more. Smashing in B3 would have been even better. But white is far enough ahead that they can afford to make moves like that. I think that move really threw black for a loop because they have no idea what to do about it. A little extra time here. Black trying to think, and they are on turn 29, so they get 15 extra minutes in 5 moves. Black does make the capture over with it. Will white come down with F4? Yep, that is a huge stack, and I don't think that it has really any purpose at this point. Wall gets dropped. Now, what is white's play with this stack? I mean, you can spread it left, you can spread it down, you can ignore it completely and do something totally different. White makes the smash. I like this smash. It's a lot of fun. Also, if black's wall comes down, now white can spread all the way to that F3 stack and smash it and recover that. It's overall, I think, a solid play here. I don't like the shenanigans with making that stack in the first place, but smashing there at B3, I feel like, is a net positive move for sure. Black, I mean, white is so far ahead here. Black's got 6 flats showing, which means they've got 8 flats total because of the Comey. And white's at 9 flats. Interestingly, that 1 flat advantage in flat count right here in this game translates to a huge advantage positionally. Because black has that flat at F1 that's doing nothing, the flat at E6 that's doing nothing, that capstone which is really away from all of the action, and that citadel that they have isn't really doing much. The walls are doing the most, but they're not counting towards that flat count. But yeah, positionally, white is in the lead by way more than just one flat count here. Positionally, white is just dominating this game. Granted, there's a lot of flats in that big stack there at f3. And it's a lot of... What? Black just dropped a flat at d5? I mean... White can't make a threat, and white can't make a road here. I'm pretty sure. But that is confusing. I guess white could drop a flat at e3? And then they'd be making a tag threat. Because there's no spread available for a road. Yeah, I feel like e3 might be the best move here. But he's thinking about it. He's thinking about what to do here. And down there now, 4 minutes between these two players. White instead plays at a4, not playing the e3. Maybe white's deciding to go for this vertical threat instead of continuing their play for the horizontal. Playing up at a5 on the following turn to complete that threat. Black here. I think they can afford to drop at d5. They can spread their stack on c5 left all the way to a5 to stop any vertical threat. They're going to go for the d1 instead, which does a very similar thing here as a d6 would. Not d5, d6. Because they can take c5 left, spread it onto a5 if white plays at a5. Yep, a5. Now this is where the wall needs to come left if he wants to stop this road threat. Because white, interesting, bringing the capstone over. Now, yeah, white can renew by placing. Now maybe that wall comes left now. Okay, that's what happens, yeah. Wall comes left. Can white smash that and win on the following turn? No, I don't think so. What is the play here? Why this? Now I'd say white can just go ahead and play at e3, like I was saying earlier. It does the same thing, makes that threat. Oh, what? White had a road? Oh, how long had that been there? How long had that been there? I wasn't even paying attention to that at all. That is crazy. Um, well played to well played there to Evoshen and adelta. I was clearly not paying attention, just the same as adelta was not paying attention of that at all. But well played, and congratulations to Evoshen for winning a point for the New World. And again, that is the final game of this tournament. We did have one no-show for this tournament, so that was basically a default win for Old World. But that is the last match of this tournament, meaning that, as we said previously, New World has won for the first time. 3 years now we've played, and New World got stomped every time until this one. So big props to all the folks who won their games in New World, and we'll see if this Old World group can come back next year in 2024 for the next Trans-AtlanTak, and see if they can come back and take their title back of winners. But that is all for today. Thanks for watching. Be sure to check out the description below for all things TAK, especially the TAK Discord server, which is where you can find all sorts of TAK resources like strategy guides and people to play with, whether that be right here on playtak.com or asynchronously in the Discord server itself. Lots and lots of great TAK resources there and great people to play with. So thanks again for watching, and until next time, have a great day and happy tacking.